Okay, it looks like we are up and running, and I've got. Let's do. How about even though Bill's not here, we can on minutes from August 26th. Were you okay with those, Lee?
Yes, I was. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't have any changes either, Colleen. So we'll accept it. If you could make a note that Bill is offline right now until he gets back in, Colleen.
Yeah, okay.
They they I guess we can do septic reviews that I don't think we have got any that are controversial. So Lee, we could do it. The first one is Alan Weiss's 5 Country View Lane. That's a repair. It's a complete system. It's a 3-bedroom house. Lee, I think you were out there to witness the perk. The fee is paid. The review's
That's correct.
complete. It's a mostly clear, gently sloping down to the street, to the front. That's to the west. It's just under an acre lot. It's loamy sand with 72-inch and 78-inch water table. There are no wetlands on that side of the street. The issues were the moderate water table. The design is for a new 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank with an outlet filter. He's got three 3 foot by 45 foot by 9-inch effective depth. They're terrace trenches with a slope. They're not dented. Got 450 gallons a day provided for capacity. 440 is required. Fill is required. Reserve area is not provided with the repair. It's got 6 foot spacing on the trenches. 5 foot water table separation. Ballast isn't required. The existing septic tank is going to be pumped, crushed, removed, then compacted. He did not call out any kind of filtration control. The septic tank and SAS separations are the wetlands and the wells is all more than 100 feet. And all I had for discussion is the trench permit and the fill. What are your thoughts, Lee?
Everything that you described is what I had discussed with Alan. So no, I don't have any surprises, any changes. I think from what you mentioned and what we discussed, it's just exactly the same.
Okay. So Lee's okay with it, Colleen, and I am too.
Okay.
So the issues were the trench permit and the fill. The
Okay.
next one was Tom Lou at 44 Taylor Street. It's not ready for discussion. I'm going to guess, Lee, that it's just as well right now without Bill. Oh, Bill is back.
Yeah, I'm back. My camera's not working, so I apologize.
Okay. It's just
So
not
I have
ready.
I'm in conflict of interest on that address.
Yeah, it's right at next to your driveway.
Right. It's
And
adjoining property, so yeah.
just like Bill to hear right now, I did copy you guys in on the things that I sent to, so you'd know what was
Dick,
being
who's
discussed.
the designer? Is
Not to,
it Thomas Liu?
yeah,
Okay.
and
Because, I went
I'm
over there as well a few
interested
days
in,
ago. I looked at the situation.
yeah, I got in fact, Colleen called me and said that she had heard that there was work going on over there, and actually I had driven by it and seen it as well. I said, gee, there's something happening on this little house. And I went over and I forget the installer's name. It's his first job. They had already done the strip. He was hauling sand for Phil. And I said, what are you doing? And he says, I'm building a septic system. And I said, well, you don't have a design. He says, sure, I have a design. The owner gave me the design. And he said, before I started to bring fill in, the engineer just was over here. He looked at the strip and he said, you're all set. Start bringing the fill in and put the system in.
Oh.
Now, I stopped the guy. I said, you don't have a design. There's none approved. There's none even been submitted. And he said, well, actually, he said, I'm glad I had a big down payment because someone's going to be eating this work that I've done. And what I did get back on my comments to Tom Liu is what I just said to you, not Lee, because Lee's abstained. But and Tom Liu is written down. He says, I've never been out there since I was there with you. He said, in a year I haven't been out there. He said, someone else must have told him to do the system, put the system in. So I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna go through and do any kind of investigation, but of serious interest though is when I was there for the Title V and the perk, I told Tom Liu he has a GIS map, and I said, that map doesn't mean diddly. I said, you have to have someone to look at the wetlands. You have to have a licensed person here. I said, it's obvious we're standing in the wetlands right now. And the drawing shows it as another 50 or 100 feet from here. And so he submitted the design and he also, the other one that's significant, and he took exception to it, is I said, the tank and the tank and the pump chamber are underwater. They're submerged. It's not just that the inlet and the outlet are below the water, or less than the 12 inches that's required above the water table. I said the tanks are underwater, and you have to have somebody that's skilled in designing things that are submerged. I said, and he says, oh no. He says, all you guys do is have to give a variance and you can put it underwater.
Who said this?
Yeah, that's Tom Liu. He says, it's just a straight variance. He says, you put a little hydraulic cement on it and you can put it right underwater.
Dick, how old is this guy?
I would guess, when I saw him, I would guess that he's older than 60 and younger than 75.
Okay. Yeah, because
But
he does work in town, but like once every 10 years.
Yeah, and he told me how skilled he was, but boy, and he just like when he looked at, he says, "Oh, it's loamy sand." I said, "What?" He didn't say it was loamy sand when he was there. We looked at it, and what I said is, "This is medium and coarse sand." And he said, "Did a perk?" I said, "You're doing a perk. The water table here is at 18 inches. You're in the water." And he says, "Oh, it's slower than 2 minutes an inch." I said, "It's because you're pouring water into water." And I said, "This is 2 minutes soil." And so he designed it. He says, "Oh, well, I'll design it for 2.7 minutes an inch." And I said, so anyways, we're not going to discuss it tonight. That it's just not ready to go. So, but I said, you need to have a wetlands guy there to walk it and say what it is. Because one of the things that happens, if he's closer than 50 feet, which I'm sure he's closer than 50 feet to the wetland, you can't be also asking for a water table separation reduction also.
Right.
So we'll see. The other is that it's only designed for 220 gallons a day. Somebody.
Now, whose computer's making that noise?
Oh, you know what? I think that's Lee. I got a feeling he's in his car. So that's Alan, we've discussed yours. We approved it, subject to trench permit and the fill restrictions, but we're all set. You're done.
Wonderful. Have a great night. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And
Thank-
Happy
thank
New
you,
Year to you
Alan.
all.
Take care.
Okay. The next one I have is from Neil Jackson. It's 99 North Street. It's the Gibbs property. It's a little property. It's up on a hill on the corner of North Street, right as you come off of the center of town, going to the northeast. But it's a tight area. We've got an approved system, and it requires a new well. They're going to abandon the existing well, but the spot that Neil chose for the well was a good spot for the choice of the well, but apparently not a very great spot for trying to get in there and put it in. And so the Neil on this one is just asked to relocate the proposed well towards the front of the property and towards the center of town, right on the lot line. That's really the only thing that's different on the design. Everything else, the separation, the 100 feet, the separation, everything is set. The only thing that I wanted to discuss is because he's at 10 feet from the property line, he really needs to know where that property line is and have a surveyor verify that the well is on the property. But Neil, when I talked to Neil about it, in fact, Neil told me about it. He says, I'm so close, I'll be requiring that a surveyor locate that. So I didn't have any other issues. I looked at it. Nothing was different other than the location of the well being changed. Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I don't think there's no option, I don't believe, on this thing.
No, it really isn't. It's got a little bitty spot. In fact, we moved on Neil's original design. I questioned whether, we had enough holes dug and that the rock actually on the south side going towards the center of town. I said, I know it comes up there. And if you go to the west, right in back of this house, you got the rock comes right up and when we went back in, sure enough, the rock was there and Neil slid the system a little bit to the north to get it in there and you're right. We don't have any choice and the well's going to be 100 feet. It's the right thing to do.
Okay.
Bill, are you set with that too?
Yeah, that's fine. No problem. Everything's
The
good.
next one, actually, there's two of them. We'll do. They're both Neil's. One is Lot 7, Cold Hill, and the other is Lot 6 on Cold Hill. Lot 7, Neil had submitted. That one ended up with an 8-foot wall on the edge of the SAS, and when I said to Neil, you know what's there? And he said, actually, I didn't know that wall was there. And so we rearranged it. He said, that he's got control. Neil has control of lot 7, which is right next to the nice house that's right up at the top of Cold Hill, at that end of Cold Hill. And then the lot 6 is going towards I'll call it north. And he's got control of both of those. And he said, by making use of that second lot, he can get rid of the wall. And so we did that. And so the review is complete. It's a 3-bedroom new construction house. It's cleared and treed, both. It's very steep, and I spelled down wrong, but it's down to the rear, to the east, really steep down. In fact, all of these 3 lots in there are steep. It's a 3-acre lot, dense till, 30-inch water table. Wetlands are to the rear, that he's away from them, but they're down at the bottom of that hill. The issue is steep down slope, the wetlands, the high water table, and the really dense soil. His design is for a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank with an outlet filter. It's got 5 3-foot by 90-foot by 1.8-foot effective sidewall terrace trenches. They're vented. It's got 445 gallons a day capacity provided versus 440 required. Fill is required. The reserve area is provided between and adjacent to the trenches. At 4 feet of water table separation. Ballast is not required for the septic tank. Fill, however, runs onto the next lot to the north. Siltation control is specified. The septic tank and SAS separation to the wells and wetlands, all more than 100 feet. What I have for discussion is the trench permit, the fill. Neil's plan doesn't call it out yet, but the temporary benchmark is a nail in a tree, and I've required that the plan be modified to say how he's going to protect that benchmark or give an second one, an alternate one, but just to make sure that nail doesn't move. And also that there's an easement that's required that needs to be filled before we are filed, before we approve this for the placement of that fill on lot 6. And when we get to lot 6, well, I'll be saying the same thing, that we do need, that easement needs to be on record to allow this thing to move forward. But that's my review of this. Bill and Lee, what are your thoughts on this one?
Dick, there was a retaining wall originally spec'd. Is that out of the picture now?
It's out of the picture. What he's done is he's taken those lines, those level lines, and continued. He's put a lot more fill, and he runs them right over onto the next lot. So he's not dealing with the slope coming off the breakout.
Wow. Because you know that the slope of that hill, it's pretty darn close to, I bet you it's steep as 4, I bet you it's 4 to 1.
Yeah, but we need to fill on lot 6 for the septic,
Well, I
so
know that, Neil. The thing is, boy, your comeback fill, you're going to use a phenomenal amount of fill in that property. It's an enormous amount of fill. And by the way, you got approved at conservation last meeting, of course.
yes.
So that's
Yep.
that's not a problem. But boy, oh boy, that is one tough backyard. You know, I thought my backyard and Dave's backyard is tough. This backyard is unbelievable. Wow. Well, good luck.
It actually compounded, Bill. If you look at it, it kind of is a little estate that, you know, it comes around towards that lot 6 and then it comes back out again. But it is, if you look, even though it's terraced, that, you know, at least by terracing it, he can follow the slope instead of just, you know, getting higher and higher and higher. At least he moves up from the shallow water table, but at least he follows that going downhill. But because he has, without it, I don't think if you went with a level system, I don't think you'd ever make it to grade.
We'd never make it back on the property without a retaining wall. Yeah, the terrace system's a way to go on that. That's right. Exactly.
So are we set with this one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I think we may. Lee, are you still with us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So-
I'm at my last stop. I'll be right back in the program here.
Okay. The next one is also Neil's. It's on the lot to the north of that. It's lot 6. It's new construction, complete system, 3-bedroom house. The review is complete, although it's got a bunch of little things that Neil's got to do on this one. The issue is, again, it's some cleared, some treed, steep down. I spelled this a different way. It's down to the east. It's also just under 3 acres, dense till 24-inch water table on this one. Wetlands to the rear, the same thing. The issues are the steep slope, the wetlands, the high water table, the dense soil. This one also gets as another problem is that septic on this is up front and the well is down at the bottom of the hill. So the well is down gradient from the septic system on this one. The design is for a 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank with outlet filter, got a 1,000-gallon pump chamber and pump, 6 3 foot by 45 feet by 1.1 effective sidewall terrace trenches. They're vented. 463 gallons a day. Area capacity is provided. 440 is required. Fill is required. The reserve area on this one is also between and adjacent to the trenches, and a 4-foot water table separation. I didn't see any. One of my questions. I didn't see the ballast calculations.
But
And so-
we're both tanks are sitting above existing grade, so there is no ballast required.
Okay, so then they're not required.
Right.
Fill on this one also runs on to the next lot. I said to the north is when I cut and paste that, it's to the south, not to the north. They've got on this one, there is a concrete block. So it's actually a 4-foot concrete block wall with 40 mil polyethylene barrier on the north and half of the east sides of the SAS. Filtration control is specified. The septic tank, the pump chamber, and the SAS separation to the other wells and wetlands, and pump tanks. All of our, I'm just looking, they're more than 100 feet. However, this septic tank and pump chamber separation to this well is more than 90 feet, but it's not 100. So it's I looked at it. It's to move it up the hill further to try to get that extra 6, 7, or 8 feet to get it to 100 is a big deal. It starts to move the tank into the ground, and it's a big deal. So this is one that we definitely should be saying it's okay not to be the 100 feet. The issues here, the trench permit required, fill is required. I also wanted, this is a nail in a tree for the temporary benchmark, needs to be secured. I've got that the ballast calculations are needed, but Neil has just said they're not. I couldn't find the note that requires the dedicated separate circuit for the
Okay, I'll
pump
add
and
that.
alarm. I couldn't find that. I think we should be requiring the special seal on the well casing at the bedrock that the guys do on areas where you could get leakage into the hole. So I think we should put that on. The easement is needed for the fill placement on lot 7. There's a typo. If you look at the cross section of the trench elevation, trench 6, I think, has got a messed up elevations on it.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
And I couldn't find any place on the drawing the pump chamber emergency storage calculation. I couldn't
Okay,
find
yeah,
it.
those notes obviously didn't. Yeah, well, I'll get those pump notes on the drawing.
So, Lee and Bill, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I got
Right,
nothing on this.
No, Dick,
Bill?
you did a thorough job. I haven't looked at it, but I trust your judgment on this, Dick.
Okay. Okay, Neil, I could not find the one on Kendall Street that you told me that we were supposed
Yeah,
to be
no,
doing?
because she's decided to remove the ADU, so so I have to remove the ADU and design it for just one dwelling, not two. So,
Okay.
yeah, I have to redesign that one. That'll be ready for the next meeting.
Okay. Colleen, maybe you could put for the next meeting, I'm starting to bump up against our requirements that on rental units and ADUs that we have backup electric or basically what I think we have, but I don't think we've got it hard and written down, is all the rental units and ADUs are supposed to have enough electricity and fuel and automatic stuff to give water, sewage, and heat for a week. But I don't see that it is written down hard and I can see it that the red fire is in our talk. When we talked to them the last time, we said, gee, that house is requiring that. And they've come back on their comments saying nothing in Title V says anything about the septic system requiring it, just giving 1 day storage. Even though in our minutes and actually in their summary of the minutes, it says that the board required that. So the other is that I'd like it if we could discuss, Colleen, and it's probably big enough that it needs to be posted, is whether we should be requiring a permit for all rental units. Josh Bugler today told me that South Hadley does have that. They actually charge a yearly fee for all rental units. They happen to inspect every year, but to have something in place that says if you're going to rent, we want to know about it, and there has to be some teeth that take away your right to rent if you're not a good landlord. But and I don't see. It seems to me like that this is a big enough issue that we can't just say, hey, we're going to discuss it tonight and come to some
Yep.
conclusion without
Mm-hmm.
posting that we're going to do this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's that one. So if we can now go, I'm just looking at our agenda. It is 7:30.
So,
Lynn, we know isn't here. We've done Neil Jackson. We've done Alan Weiss. 7:35 is Chris Chamberlain. Maybe we do that. We won't do our items yet. So I don't see is Chris here?
yeah,
Oh, he is here.
I think so.
Yep, I just for a couple minutes now.
So
Hi, Chris.
so
Hello.
I reviewed what you did, Chris. It looks like you answered the issues that I had, except that we're back what we were just talking about, the power. I know you said Title V says that you need either auxiliary power or you need the day's capacity, but as we mentioned, or I mentioned in my notes, that the house is the thing that kind of trips you up, that we're requiring that rental units, the ADUs and all rental units, and we're going to have to talk about how we go back to the older ones, and that'll be the subject of at our next meeting. But right now, for new ones, we're saying that you just, if you're going to be renting, you have to be able, these people have to have water, heat, and sewage. We don't say light, but water, heat, and sewage for a week.
Understood. And I wanna separate out between what I agree is a good idea versus what the regulations are, and also being, of course, caught between the board and a client who are pushing me in different directions, as I'm sure some of you can appreciate. And I think there's a couple of things here. Is, we had just asked, primarily wanted to see the text so that we could make sure that we were compliant with whatever particular rule that we're talking about. But there's the separate issue is also that they're not planning to renovate that house anytime soon, and would potentially use it as office space. So if it were a C of O for a rental unit, if that couldn't be issued until they had the permanent backup power, yeah, I could certainly see that. I mean, they're trying to get this facility off the ground, and I'll tell you, Paul Voiland's been pretty clear. They do have a procedure plan for if the power is out, which is going to include getting things up and running and the critical systems, to keep their food fresh, to keep the plants from freezing and that sort of thing. But we're also trying to get this system, approved and built. Their system, they have a facility just up the road on Carver Street that has a built-in generator with automatic switching, but they built that with grant funding. And so that's really the hang up here. So if it is on the rental, my thought would be, is there a condition that it's just not a rental until they have the permanent switchover, if that's the key issue there. And like I said, was going through purely as the septic system for the market building. Did not see anything that required the full backup power. So again, that's sort of where we are. I hope you appreciate that I'm not trying to be difficult on this, but
in fact, I'm going to help you out with it's not the board speaking, but I'm really listening to you and saying there's a really neat thing that we could do that keeps everybody really straight and honest, is just say, for now, the house isn't part of this project. And then you say, wait, because you're asking for the house to have 3 bedrooms and you're not saying build an office building. And we say, you know what? If you leave the capacity in the SAS, you leave everything that you have. And since he says, gee, we're not going to do that, we're not going to do the house anyways right now, then we say, get something in writing from us saying that this is part of the SAS design on the whole system part, the pump part, all of that, and say, let's identify that it's there, the capacity is there on the design, so that the DEP doesn't say, hey, what you've done is you just increased the capacity when this house comes along and you're not going to be allowed to do it. To say, no, we're going to do that. We're going to design it, but we're not going to work on the house now. We won't have anybody there. We won't do anything. And therefore that doesn't trigger the Board of Health requirement to the rental unit. And since they've said that's what they plan to do anyways, not do it, it says it doesn't hurt anybody. It's the out, I think, that you guys are, maybe everybody is looking for.
So let me just pause because Ray is on here, and I know she's a little more in touch with some of the ins and outs, and let's see what she thinks about that. But I mean, I think as far as the current status, I don't think that causes an issue for anybody on our side.
Yeah, no, I think that would be exactly aligned with their intentions.
So like you say, we've simply designed it to be big enough that it can support that, but it's not right now.
Right. And so we'd have to be really careful that we say that the capacity is there, and then you get a commitment from this board that says we're going to allow that to, with our conditions, to happen later if it's desired. But that way, if this board changes, you have this thing, a later board could say, we certainly see what the Supreme Court does on decisions that they make and decide not to accept, but hopefully our boards act in a more reasonable way. But so if we could do that, it sounds like that would get everybody out of the It's not telling the Red Fire that they have to do something other than they want to do.
Mhm.
So give some thought. Go back to your, I don't, Lee and Bill, what are your thoughts? Do you think that's a reasonable approach?
So Dick, just to paraphrase, then you're not requiring the supplemental power until the time in which a commitment to formally rent out the house occurs. Is that correct?
Or get the building permit to put a livable house in place.
Okay.
So
All
it
right,
wouldn't be that you actually rent it. It would be once you construct a facility that's designed to be a habitable facility, then that triggers the our regulation, because our regulation right now doesn't say that, if you look at the building a business, if they don't have power, they don't operate. And if their stuff goes bad, it goes bad. That's
Right.
That's their choice. It's not that you're taking someone's money to live someplace and say, oh, by the way, we took your money, we put you there, and you're going to freeze to death and you can't flush your toilet or drink your water. And say that's a different story. But if
Yeah.
you just choose not to open, that's your choice.
Now, Dick,
And
we
so
have-
could I just suggest
hold on,
that?
hold on 1 second, folks. We have Mr.
Okay.
Quinlan here. Let's utilize Tom's expertise. Tom,
Great.
what is your interpretation of the status of the house now in terms of habitability? At what step are they right now, in your opinion?
I have not been in it. I'll be honest, I'm not sure. But as far as I know, it's vacant, so that it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, let me ask architect Ray Mann. Ray, what's your opinion of that as well?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's derelict. It's sound, but it's a derelict shell. So, it's certainly not habitable. So
Okay,
and
all
they
right,
don't have,
so
they couldn't afford to fix it probably for
point
a
is
number of years. Pardon?
The business, the operating market business is likely to be up and running well before the house is habitable. Is that a fair statement to make?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dick, I think it makes a lot of sense. So we'll permit it with a condition. That's all. It's pretty simple.
Lee, how do you think about that?
No, I agree. I think it's a good idea that you had to talk this thing through and keep the project moving. And when the house becomes rental property, then the permanent electrical generator will be in fact installed as per the earlier conditions, as I understand it.
Yeah, my gut feeling is that the owners are going to be way more concerned with protecting their food and not taking a big hit by losing power. So my gut feeling is what we do by making this change is that we allow them to get their act together to say this is the way we want to handle that. And once they get the building handled, they're going to already have that. They're going to say, oh, we're all set. We just tie it in and we're off to the races here. And we've got it by doing it the way we're doing, by putting it together right now, it forces them to do something that they're not ready to do yet. And if we do it the other way, it allows them to engineer what they want to do and make sense with their business. And I don't know what they're able to do for grants or anything, but it allows them to pursue all of that without getting this all tangled up. And if that's what their desire was anyways, that they don't want to spend the money, then let's give them the flexibility to do that.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, the reality is, I think it's very likely there's a permanent generator there 2 years from now. It's just not going to be there, in 2 months.
Yeah.
And if I could make a suggestion / request on the language of that condition, if it can refer specifically to what the requirement is, if it's rental, when it becomes a rental property, as opposed to the habitability, which just I want to tie it to the actual requirement, because the plans for the building may change. They could plan for a different use that has a lower flow rate than the 3-bedroom house. And I wouldn't want that to get hung up by some future board interpreting what was in the condition.
What I would suggest is that you guys make it up in your application and put it,
Great.
I do what you just talked about, Chris, is to say what we really've done here is we've put in this many gallons a day that would come from that building, and how you reach it's just capacity that's there.
Mhm.
And so you built in a separate potential stream. And if they say, you know what, you're right, we wanted to take that, maybe they change the footprint, maybe they do something and say, we actually want to turn this into 10,000 square feet of office area instead, but it's got the same capacity. So we don't end up locking it into a house when they maybe don't want to do the house. That's how I would do it, and to give everybody the most flexibility that they can have.
That sounds great. And for anybody who listens to this recording in the future, they're not proposing 10,000 square feet of office space.
I
know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But that way and we would end up, I think, making it so everybody knows it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you could even write down for a future use or whatever it is, because if we do it right, then the state can't come in and say, hey, that's not what was there, or they can be nasty when they do things like saying, oh, we changed the flow requirements, but that's not, and you've ended up getting extra bedrooms here if you use the new rules, but you use the old rules, so we're locking you in to the old number of bedrooms, not the old volume. And
Right.
So what we do here is lock in the extra volume that's available and use it.
Great. I think that definitely works for us.
So,
Good.
so everybody's all set with that.
I think so.
Yep.
Great.
Okay. Thank you for visiting.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
folks.
Have a good
Get you
night.
that update ASAP.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, and thank you,
Take care.
Chris. Yep. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So the next we have is Jim Kromke, and I don't see Jim, but maybe Neil, are you here for Jim?
No, no, why is Jim at the meeting?
Jim's here.
Oh, he is.
Jim's here.
How are you,
Okay.
Jim?
I'm out.
Okay. I'd run too.
What-
Hi, everybody.
Jim,
Hey, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
the reason we asked you to come is after you and I talked on site, it must be a month ago or so, after the state had talked to me, and I couldn't give an answer as I told you at the time, and then you gave me the answer that I needed to have, is that what happens to any waste that came from the actual wine, the commercial wine production area, and I'm paraphrasing what I think you told me, is that you said, there's not really much waste anyways, that we don't make money by throwing wine down the drain, that you make money by selling wine. And you said the solids end up getting split, and one goes to composting, and then the beer solids end up going as cattle food. And said, so that's not a waste that's going out, and that you ended up, when you took the operation over, you took what Dick Progulski was doing with his kennels and what he was putting in for probably a significant amount more liquid waste than you put. And you just used the same thing. The drains were there in the floor, and the pipes were there, and the dry well was there, and you just went at it. But you didn't use much in the way of liquid, and you did point out, you said, in terms of sanitary waste, you said there is no sanitary waste, that the people that work there, and at the time, you said there are a very few people working there. In fact, most of them are family members, and they use the toilets out front. And at that point, I believe I said, we're going to have to deal with that, because the dry well is that, once we knew about the water table, now for sure the dry well's in the water, and that stream isn't being handled properly, and we're going to have to deal with it. So I think that's what I said, and what we said at the time, and the reason that we're here, asking you here, is to see what kind of path we have to put you on to get that tied into a system. Am I
Okay, well-
am I reasonably close in summarizing what we said at that meeting that we were at, that I was at with you?
Yes, that's pretty accurate. So subsequently, DEP did come out and inspect, and I walked them through the whole process. What you call sanitary waste, they were fine with. It was going into a tight tank and being pumped out. They didn't have any concerns, but they asked what we were doing in the production area. So I explained to them that the wine operation, the grapes, the skins, the leftovers, if you will, were being transported to a distillery. The only product that was being composted or put in the fields and turned in were the stems, and they were fine with that. The brewery operation, the only thing that was left from, or if you will, the byproduct from that, was going to a local farm that they were feeding. I don't want to mention any names, because I'm not publicly anyway. They were using it to feed their cattle. So basically there was no byproduct that they were concerned with. They were fine. When I was done giving them the tour and explaining the operation to them, I asked if there was going to be a written report, and they looked at me and said no. They were fine with everything that was going on the premise.
That's great, Jim. 100% reuse. Congratulations. Very, very good.
Yeah, it's
Exactly true. There
was
there's
two
certainly a way to
individuals.
deal with. There's a way to deal with that, Jim, and it's to say, okay, I'm so that's such a perfectly sealed system that we're going to go and we're going to plug all the drains in the floor. And you could say that, but I'm going to guess that you'd instead say, you know what? Isn't there a way that we could put a little sump there, a sealed sump with a pump, and could you just let us run a 2-inch line up to the new tank that we just put in, and let the thing just go over there and take care of that, and we're done with it? That's what I'm going to guess that you say.
They weren't concerned about that. There's everything we're doing is organic. There's everything that all the solids get taken away, as I explained, and then the liquids, every drop of it goes into the barrels and is produced with the wine. So there isn't anything other than then maybe a rinse, which would be, I don't know, no different than anything else in the farming community.
It ends up then that you can, in fact, if you don't have any liquid waste, if you have liquid waste, you can't just throw it in the ground and just say, it's an industrial. But if you say, you know, we've really got this closed up, we've got the way we're handling, and you could say, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to take that waste and we're going to put a 55-gallon drum in the ground there. It only a sealed thing, and it would fill up every 3 weeks. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pump it out into a 55-gallon drum and take it away to wherever you take it, and say that's how we're going to handle it. There is no outlet from our building into the ground. That's, you know, that would be something that you said that.
Well, that's Dick. That's a true statement, because like with the beer process, excuse me, when we rinse out the kettle and all that, it all goes into the same barrel that gets hauled away and fed to the cattle.
So you could absolutely do that. You know, I worked in a couple operations, chemical operations, that they actually did that. They had floor troughs, and the floor troughs went to one sump. And there was a pump in the sump that they turned on to when they got stuff in it, and they pumped it out and dealt with it. There wasn't a discharge. And you could easily say, you know, that's the way we want to do it. We're not going to. It could even be a manual discharge. As you say, you know, I've just got a little sump pump that's sitting in this 55-gallon drum that has no discharge to the world except through this pump that goes into a barrel, and we haul it away. And then the Board of Health is in a spot that says, you don't have a discharge. We don't need to be after you. But as long as you're not saying, I got a pipe that goes out and goes in the ground, then we have to be after you.
Well, according to DEP, they were fine with the whole operation, and that everything, 99% of everything gets removed from the premise. So
we don't know which group of the DEP that you're looking at, what they were looking for, but I know that they're not going to say that you got a processed waste that goes into the ground and it's okay. That's not going to.
No, because we don't have that. We don't do any of that. The all the byproduct from the beer operation and the wine operation, all of it gets removed.
That's great.
As I
so
said,
that you should be able to answer the board, the 3 members here.
Jim, I got a question for you.
To say that just one more sentence, Bill, and you can have it. But you should be able to say to us, absolutely, there's nothing that's going into the ground. I'm telling that you said, Dick, there's nothing on board. There's nothing going in the ground. And I'm going to take that pipe that I have going out there, and I'm going to put it into it, just a drum in case something goes there, and I'll just pump it out as needed into a drum, but it's not going to go into the ground. And you say, that's exactly what you just said. And the only reason I would look and say you wouldn't say that is if that's not true.
Well,
I'm not saying you're lying. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you would say, gee, we're getting squeezed a little bit because sometimes maybe that stuff would have to go into the ground. And
there's nothing going into the ground that wouldn't fall off the vines that didn't get picked. It's just there's nothing there.
Was it DEP solid waste, or is it wastewater, or another group that came out?
There was two individuals that came out. I can't recall.
You didn't get their business cards?
I did, but I don't have them with
Okay.
me. They just
Because Dick, I'm thinking it might have been wastewater or solid waste.
It could be the guy I talked to, and I can't remember his name, but he's the same man that I talked to about the sewage at the end of Ken Lane.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, he's a new hire. Jim, was it two guys or was it a female or male that came out?
It was a female and a male that came out.
Okay. Was the first woman's name Deidre?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Bill.
Was it Deidre that came out?
That sounds familiar.
Okay, yeah, because
Yes.
I think she's the section chief of wastewater now. Yeah, she's section
We
chief
could-
of wastewater.
They
Bill
walked
and
away
what we
scratching. They
Well,
both walked away scratching their head, not knowing why they were even there.
Okay, all right. Well, the bottom
for the-
line is, so you had the head people, you had the top people there, so you should clearly not have a problem from them going forward. So that's great.
But in our case, we have a responsibility that says we can't let those discharges occur. However, we could, at our next meeting, it shouldn't be on us right now. It should be on Jim that says to these guys, you guys were here and you said that this is okay. And I've gone to the Board of Health and said I can continue throwing this stuff into the ground. And if it happens that liquid gets there, it's okay to just put it in the ground. So one would be to have Jim and his engineer say, we're not going to be treating anything because you guys said it was okay. It's another that we could take it and say, gee, we've gone to Jim and said, Jim, we don't want you to be doing this. And say, the owner told us that you guys from the state looked at it and said it was okay for those wastes to go in and that the Board of Health shouldn't be saying that they shouldn't be doing that. We can say that to them. And so we could actually be Jim's advocate and say, you know, we approached the owner and this is the you guys were out there and this is what the owner said that you guys said. Because the fair thing would have been for Jim to have a report instead of telling us this is what they said. They should be big people and say, we came out here, we did a review, an inspection, we went through this is what we saw, and this is what we said. And then we'd all have that report.
Yeah. So Jim, they didn't offer you a follow-up email or report or anything?
No, because I asked them about that. I said, is there going to be a report on this? Because I'd like a copy of it.
Yeah.
And they said, this doesn't require any type of reporting.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
even
no
that statement in
there's no
itself should be a
discharging.
report. See?
That's what I said, but they said there wouldn't be.
Yeah, see, they should
Yeah.
have.
Well, couldn't they
should have
do a,
They should have memorialized the fact that it was a non-issue. It'd be simple enough for them to do that.
well, yeah. couldn't
My
they do a
suggestion,
evaluation? I would hope they could do something because it could be critical going forward.
Well,
it is going to
listen,
be. What's going to happen is Jim is going to get in continued issues with neighbors or whatever that says, okay, since the state asked me, since we've said it, since we've talked about it right here, it's public record, and someone is going to say, hey, how come you guys are letting this happen? Is it okay for me to have in my house, I have a washing machine. Is it okay for my washing machine to just go out on the ground? And say, how come you let Jim do it and won't let me do it? And I think
Dick, let me just stop you for a minute, if I may.
Sure.
Somebody made an anonymous call because I asked them. I said, who did it? We don't know. I said, okay. They came, they inspected, they reviewed, and they told me that there was, and I asked them, I said, if there's going to be a report, I'd like a copy of it. They said, this doesn't require a report. There's nothing going on here, is what they told me. And they,
I
and
think
also,
we
and
should
it was,
be, go ahead, Jim.
so I didn't initiate this. I've been inspected by other state agencies. I'm not doing anything here that discharging. I'm a subject of a lot of false accusations here, and I'm on the defense, and the agencies have come out and found nothing that I'm outside of any type of. I'm within the regulations. I'm not doing anything that I shouldn't be doing.
Jim, let me ask a dumb question. So they gave you their DEP business cards?
Yeah, I've got it somewhere in one of my.
So you're sure these people were legit? You're sure they were DEP employees?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked to the man who said he was going out, and he said he was a DEP person. He knew who we were. And he told me that he was going out. So I agree with Jim that they're very likely DEP people.
All right, so they weren't imposters then.
Yeah, I think it was Sean Gonzalez. Sean, right? Because he talked
That's
to you.
what I think too.
Yeah, I think it was Sean that talked to you, Dick. The woman that called me, her name was Sarah, I think, but.
Yes, that name sounds familiar, Sarah.
Yeah, she was going out. This Sarah.
I think that
I think Sean.
I think that in this case, we can get Jim out of the middle of this. We've got an issue that we've just gone to Jim with, and Jim is telling us the state came in and said what you're doing is fine. They said he's not getting a report saying that, but that we can say, hey, we went to the owner, and this is what the owner told us, and we can say that I talked to the state before the inspection, and I talked specifically about other things, but it's specifically about this one, saying I don't know where any processed liquid waste goes. And this guy said, well, I'm going in and investigating it. So we could send the letter out saying, we talked to the owner about it. We talked about what could be done. And the owner said, you guys came here and said that it was okay, but you weren't going to be issuing a report on it. So the board is going to believe what the owner said, that you guys are saying what he's doing and what he's doing with those wastes is acceptable in the accepted way, in the present way. So we can force them to write that little report that said, yes, that's what we said. Because Jim, I believe you 100%, because if they thought it was wrong, I know that you would have got a letter saying, hey, this is wrong. You got this many days to fix it. And you would have had a report.
It's the same thing. The ABCC's been out because of a false accusation. They've come out and they've inspected. And I've asked them, I said, is there going to be a report? And they said, no, we're going to dismiss this because there's nothing here. There's nothing to report. You're working within your license. So I never see anything. They come out and inspect, but I don't get anything.
Yeah, but you also don't get it, because
it's not warranted.
Yeah, but what would be nice is if you got that in writing instead of having to tell us, oh, believe me, this is what they say.
I agree. That's something. I'm scratching my head over this one.
Me too. That's why I've asked the ABCC. as well. They
Yeah.
dismissed
They
the
have to have
charges.
an agenda. They have to have an agenda to go out for a site visit. And even though they found no issue, they still have to generate, I hope, a report back to their supervisors following up on the complaint and
Well,
doing
that's all public record.
Oh,
What-
yeah,
whatever-
yeah.
Lee,
I'm
whatever
sure-
may
I'm
be
sure
there
they
would
have
be
an-
public
right.
record.
That's right. I'm sure they have an internal report. I'm sure they have.
They
Whether they feel whether they feel compelled to send me a copy of it, I can't make them do that. But
Right.
No, I get that,
If the-
but they can't just freewheel out, stop here and stop there, and go back and not do any filing to close the topic.
well,
The way you do
you're
it,
right. But if in fact there was any issues with the ABCC or the DEP, they would file it not only with me, they would file it with the town and my licenses. And all my licenses are public record, and I am in good standing on all of them. So, you know,
Right, but
these,
the point,
and the fact of the matter is, which quite frankly, excuse me, is pissing me off more than anything, is that I am being accused of things that aren't true. The burden is on me, and nothing comes of it because there's nothing there.
well,
I'm-
and
Lee,
the
Lee and
report.
Shame, it's a shame, is what it is. People can make all kinds of accusations.
They have to file reports that aren't just accusation reports. They also have to file reports that are no harm, no foul reports. You know what I mean?
You would think, but
Lee,
but
the way
I
we
don't get
handle
them.
it, the way we handle this thing is it is pretty easy to do. Is just for
Yeah.
us to, in effect, file their report based on what Jim told us. And what we'll do is say, here's what the owner told us. Jim can tell us the date that they came, and that he gave here's what he told us. He told us that you aren't going to be filing a report. And when we did our investigation, we came up with this, and we specifically talked about the miscellaneous liquid waste that ends up going into the ground, and that he pointed it out to you, and you guys said it was fine. And so unless we hear differently from you, we are going to say it is not a public health issue and for something that the Board of Health should be dealing with. And we put it right back on them. And if they don't answer, it's fine. We just say, if we don't hear back from you within 30 days, we'll assume that that is correct. And then that closes it and said, here's the letter. We said it. These guys didn't respond. And so that's the right answer. And then Jim has copies of that. And so when the next people come along and say, here's what happened, but it's difficult for Jim to go in this spot. Jim, you're in a lousy spot to get the information that we're looking for. Because you can't force them to do something, but we can say by their omission to respond, they have in fact responded. Their omission says that you've kind of like when you send something out on the board that you work on the planning board, say, gee, Board of Health or whoever, Conservation Commission, whoever, here's the thing that's up in front of us. And if you don't respond by this date, we are going to believe that you have no response because you didn't respond by that date. And then, so if someone says, oh, we did have a response, then you say, yeah, but you didn't respond. And we told you how we were going to behave if you don't respond. and we're gonna do that to them. And then it gets you off the hook, and it gets something in our file and your file.
You know, Dick, and again, I don't know the exact citation, but I was reading it about a month ago on another matter. I think there's a 40-day response window for the state. I think it might be in the Mass General Laws or DEP, but I believe they have a 40-day response window. So if we send them something and they don't respond in 40 days, it's de facto approval. So I would recommend we give them the 40-day window.
That's what we should do. But if we don't do this, we're gonna run around
I
in
agree. I
circles,
agree.
and Jim is gonna be, quite frankly, if I were Jim, I'd be saying, this just doesn't seem right. If the guys from the state came in and said, what I'm doing is okay, for you guys to come and be after us, from after him.
Well, here's the other thing. Somebody makes a false claim anonymously. Who do they respond to?
They go after the business owner because that's the only one they can find.
Well, I know, but they come to me, they find the claim is false, but who do they respond to? If it's an anonymous accusation or a claim, who do they respond to?
I was told this absolutely is not an anonymous complaint, and
you know, my personal.
I think
my
I have to
personal-
talk to the board about how we're going to do this. Because I've got to get the name, because I did get a call from this woman, and it is the same name that I was told from the state, and it is not an anonymous complaint. And I was told that this particular person, by the guy I talked to at the state, as Colleen is saying, Sean Gonsalves, I believe that's the name, but that he used the words, this woman has gone sideways and vertically all through the DEP complaining about what's going on here. Going up the ladder, up and down and sideways, complaining about this. And he gave me the name. He says, I don't know.
Well, they wouldn't give it to me, and they said they were not putting a formal response.
You know,
we'll get, then we should not go further with this tonight. Let's make Colleen, could you put this on the next meeting? Because we're going late again tonight. Yeah. And let's get the letter out to the DEP and
you know, Dick, we deal with this on conservation matters from time to time. My personal opinion is we can keep someone's name confidential, which is fine. But if we get an anonymous complaint, this could be someone calling in from Western Australia. We have no clue who it is. That's why my policy is I do not respond or take action on anonymous complaints. That's just the way I feel about it.
This wasn't an anonymous complaint. It wasn't to me.
Oh, no. I realize this one is not. But from time to time, I'll get a call that says, I'm not going to give you my name, but so-and-so, 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 so-and-so. And those are not credible complaints, in my opinion. If they're anonymous,
I agree.
They're not credible.
I agree with you that you
know, I can keep
if someone I guess it depends on what it was. If someone says, you know, I saw this person, I don't want to get involved, I'm scared stiff, but I saw them throwing 3 dead bodies into Bachelor Brook, then you say, well, I don't respond to that because it's anonymous.
You respond to the police department on that one. But for matters that we handle typically, someone should at least acknowledge who they are.
Right.
Well, yeah, it's just pure board manipulation is what's going on.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Well, this is a woman, I just don't remember her name right now. I'm going to have to look it up. It's a woman that lives on Taylor Street. And she called me, and she actually was the one that, I'll have to look it up, but she's the one that gave me the information about about wine waste and how bad they were. And so I have that. I have an email with it with her name. And when I talked to the guy at the state, he says it's the same woman. He says I don't know. He says she gave her name. He says I don't know, what she does or anything. And I looked it up in the street list and said this is who she is. This is where she lives, and this is what she does for a living. It's public record.
Yeah,
So-
let's move on to the next topic.
So
Dick.
we'll go on. Jim, we'll take care of that, and we're going to discuss
Jim,
this at
thank
the
you.
next
Good to
meeting.
talk to you.
You don't need to be here.
Okay.
Okay?
Have a good night, gentlemen.
Oh,
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Before Jim goes,
Hmm.
while he's still here, Colleen, you put a thing out saying that the time had come for Jim's permits, the
Oh,
food
renewals.
permits
Yeah.
had been, while Jim's right here, and that we need to discuss that. If we've got a question for him, we need to take action. We can't leave Jim unless it's our intent to push him into a spot that he has no license for a food permit. We need to do something now. It's not my intent to put you in a spot, Jim, to say you're running without a license. So,
Well, just for your record, I know there's been some mix-ups with who's responsible for plumbing inspections and back and forth, but the plumbing inspector was out several weeks ago. I don't know exactly when. Everything's starting to becoming a blur here, but was out and inspected and passed everything. I replumbed everything. Everything's tied in. Everything was given a thumbs up. So just for the
feeling
board.
is that we ought to take the restriction off of this thing and just get Jim back into the normal schedule. We can talk about what we want to get done to finish it up and with regular toilets, or we can do all that. But I think that my concern about getting sewage out of the porta potties and, pumped out, that he's made a step forward, and that at least for right now, we've got the winter time coming now, and we should just let his permits go, and at least this one to be say, okay, it goes to the normal end of.
Yeah, is
of
it the calendar year? Is that the normal timing, calendar
Mhm.
year?
Yes.
Okay, so I move we extend Jim's permit till 31 December 2025.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
support that, yeah. Lee, Howard.
Yep. Second.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
are we all voting? I vote yes.
Aye.
Those who's in favor, I am.
Aye.
Okay, so we're
Yeah.
all set, Jim.
Okay.
So that
All right.
part, you're legal for your operating part.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good
Appreciate
night.
it.
Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you.
So, that is the last of, let me find my agenda. I'm afraid I buried it. Here it is. So, Jim was the last of our appointments. Let's go through the rest of what we have. We did Bill, while you were away, we approved the minutes from the 26th of August meeting. The next thing I have is two of Colleen's time sheets. One is for ended September 6th, one September 20th. They both are for 70 hours for the 2 weeks. Are we okay with that? The both of them?
Yeah, those are fine.
Lee?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
The next one I have is for, it looks like this must have been for 4 weeks, but the date was September 23rd for the payments to the treasurer. Total $2,435. That came from $825 for Board of Health permits, $610 for Board of Health licenses, $1,000 for Board of Health fees, and that's it, totaling $2,435. Are we okay with that one?
Yes.
I am too, Colleen.
Okay.
Next one, there are going to be two tobacco permits. One is for, well, I'll do them both. One is for Cumberland Farm, and this is through September 2026. That's September 30th, 2026. This is the same for Ruthko's Liquor. Are we okay with both of those?
Yes.
You still with us? Looks like we lost Bill.
No, I'm good.
So
I'm good,
I'll
Dick.
say yes.
We're good, Dick.
Well, Bill's back. Are you there, Bill?
Oh, yes, I've been here.
Okay. Are you for those?
Yes.
As a side to that, our good government, our good president today disbanded the whole smoking program, the national smoking program, anti-smoking program. I guess they fired all the people that were in that division nationally. And he wants the whole program disappeared. So
I'm hearing rumors that restrictions on diesel fuel emissions are going to be lifted as well.
So and it's interesting, this week they also, along with the great gift to society that got rid of the food stamp program, put the restrictions on, we are no longer, starting immediately, no longer reporting on people who are food challenged, that are starving. So the government will no longer report on that.
Now, Dick, this anti-smoking, does this mean folks can smoke in restaurants at will now?
I don't know. There's state laws and everything, but this is the national anti-smoking program. They just
Okay.
got rid of the whole thing. Stopped funding it, got rid of all the people. So
Well, I'm
I-
curious
I
whether
don't know.
someone's going to
I
try to
don't know
challenge.
enough about
What-
it other than to hear that it just happened. And I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but and I don't do that, but I do know that Musk and our vice president both belong to a group that say we should be having smart white babies instead of black babies and brown babies. And if you look at all the things we're doing, we're certainly doing things to make sure that those babies die.
Yeah,
And with the
let's not
vaccine, rich
let's not
people
go
will
there,
be
Dick.
vaccinated, poor people won't. So when you look at what Musk did by not feeding the poor of the world, we know that there's going to be at least 2 million young babies that die, but they're going to be black babies that die.
Yeah, I know.
So
Well,
if you look at what
the midterm elections are coming up next year, and the presidential elections in another 2 years after that. So just let's see what
so
happens.
hopefully
Yeah,
we'll get back to.
yeah.
And the
again,
president today got in
did-
front of.
Yeah, did you listen? Did you listen to
Oh,
the
yeah.
comment on
Oh
the
yeah, he said, "You
climate
guys."
change?
Yeah, he says, stop trying to fight climate change. You're killing yourself by trying to make the world better.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next thing I have, it's all sadly very much public health stuff. And the next one is a disposal work system construction permit. It's for Scott Merrill, and it is for, I think it's the replacement of a septic tank. Septic tank and D-box. Are we okay with that? I saw there was also a Title V that went with it.
What's the address there, Dick?
There's a 150 Harris Street. It's up on the top.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I know where it is. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
In fact,
Yeah,
this house just sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the ground already. It's already in.
Okay, so that's done.
Yeah.
The next one is a certificate of compliance. This is from Alan Weiss. And it is the one that's at 154 Bachelor Street. And Lee, I think you inspected that one. Trying to see what it is. It looks like it must have been. Oh, that's the one that's the whole system where they did the. Lee, are we set with that one at 154 Bachelor? Alan put in a pretty fancy little sketch as built.
Wait a second. Let me get my, I can't, it's been a while on this one. Let me just get the street list out here. and help refresh
The owner is G. Sheehan.
154.
The installer looks like Jim Coyle.
Sousa.
Actually, you signed it on 9/9.
Seems like a lot longer than that. Yeah, 154. I see it. Yeah, Sheehan. Yeah, oh, I know where that is. I know where that is. It's around the corner. You go down north and then you swing left. That was done a while ago.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay. So, Bill, are you set with that?
Yep. Yep. Well, I finally
Okay,
got
I
my
am
video
too.
going.
The next one is a application for a well construction, lot 7, Cold Hill. It's what we just approved, and the location is the one that we just approved on the drawing.
Okay.
Bill, you set with that too?
Yeah, that's fine, Dick.
Okay, me too, Colin.
Okay.
Next one is a application for disposal system construction permit. It's at 16 Jennifer Drive.
Oh, what about the beaver permit?
I didn't have a copy of that.
Oh,
Colin, you gave him a second 10-day extension, correct?
well, that's what he wants.
Yeah, because he needs 20 days to do the work, Dick.
So we should just approve that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Lee, you're all set with that?
Yes.
Okay, I am too. So that's all set, Colleen.
Okay.
I think you can have up to 2 extensions. So the next one is Hurley on 16 Jennifer Drive. It looks like this one is just a D box. Dwelling, fixtures. Yep, installation of new distribution box in the same location.
Yeah, that's in place. Bob Norman installed that.
Okay. So, Bill, you're set with that too?
Yeah, that's
since
fine.
it's done? I didn't hear you, Bill. Did you say okay?
Yeah, can you hear me, Dick?
Now I can.
Yeah. I figured out my video.
Oh, okay.
You
Now I
know
can see you.
you know what the problem was? It was tied into the go-to meeting and the Zoom both.
Oh,
So the go-to meeting, which was from our conservation meeting the other day, that's superseding the Zoom. So I had to sign out a go-to meeting and the video showed up here. So we're good now.
okay. The next one is a license for a 1-day temporary food permit for Church of Christ. And it is chicken pie supper for October 18th. Are we set with that one?
Yes.
I am too.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Now we're going to get into things that they're building permits that some of them I can do, some of them I can't. I'll do them maybe out of order. One is, well, it's so small I can't see it. This is, and it's dark here. This is design group for Vinci Construction. That is the asphalt plant scale house. They just want to replace the house that's there in the spot that's there. Are we okay with that one?
That's Lane's.
But it doesn't say Lane,
Yeah, it's a
But
new,
that's
it's a
what-
new company. I forget the name of the company. Yeah, they've
But
applied
it-
for a wetland permit as well, Dick. That's fine.
Okay.
Lee, you okay
Okay.
with that? I am too.
Yes, thank you.
Is that the new Ludlow Road thing? Or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it used to be
Okay.
Lane. It's
Yep.
a new, I think it's Northeast Paving or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one that I have that I can see that is Tim and DeLynn Healy. This is 157 Amher Street. It's the one that's way in the back. It was easier farm property.
Mhm.
There's a big house that's in there. He wants to build a garage. It's no place near his system. His system is to basically the north of his house, and it's the northeast of the house, and this is to the southwest of the house. There's nothing remotely near him.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. Bill, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. Again, that's permitting, concurrent
Okay,
with
so that's good.
conservation. I'm familiar with that project. That's fine.
Okay. Oh, I've got two things for him. The next one I have is for Morgan Street. And this one also has a sketch to it. It shows that there's going to be a garage put on the house. The garage is to the south of the house to the front. The septic system is in the middle, the tanks and pump chamber in the middle of the back of the house. And the SAS is to the north. So they're opposite locations. There should be absolutely no interference. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay. Then the last one that I can tell what it's about, and after this, I can't tell from the information that I got, is the one with the swimming pool on Easton Street. And that's also not, it's one of the new houses that actually was one of Leo Fugler's lots. It's like halfway, a
Oh,
little
yeah,
more
yeah,
than
I know
halfway
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
between Porter Street,
Yeah, I was on that property the other day. Yes.
and there's no wetlands near it.
Right.
He's in Span, and he wants to put a swimming pool. It's not any place near his septic system,
Right.
and
You know,
I don't
looked
see
at
any
the,
problem with it
at
at
the
all.
topography there, Dick. There's a chance he may run into bedrock on that because he's putting
He
an
could.
in-ground pool in.
It's possible,
Yeah.
but because we dug most of the holes that we dug there were okay, but as you said, we had to poke around in that spot. And that the septic system, when you look at the house, the septic system is kind of to the front and to the left. And this is to the right and the back.
Right.
And we stayed away from the right and the back. But if he gets it, he gets it. That's
Yeah, yeah, because the pool is a 6-foot pool, so he has to excavate to -7 feet to get it to work with the sand cushion. So I hope he doesn't have to excavate too much ledge there, if any.
yeah, because it turns out that rock in there is hard rock.
Yes.
It's not shaly. It's basalt kind of stuff.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So we're okay with that. And on the other ones that I have, I can't, it was just text and I couldn't tell, in some cases, I couldn't tell what it was that they were proposing, but I didn't have any sketches to say this is what it is, the size and location. I don't know if you guys looked at it and could tell on any of the others.
Now, I looked at the test pit
No.
logs in the front and the water table, the modeling, I think, was 80 inches down. So water table should not be a problem. But again, I hope he doesn't run into bedrock there.
Colleen, we had other ones that Tom had asked about, and I just couldn't. I didn't have enough information to make a determination of whether they affected.
Okay,
anything
yeah, I
with
think
the
we
septic
have the
system.
owner here for 164 Bachelor Street, right? Edward. Um,
Yes, yes.
okay, so that one was he's putting on a front porch. And I think I sent there was a picture from a Title V report, the sketch he kind of drew on the front of that, and then he had a drawing with it. So I don't know if you saw those
Is
or,
that the one that the front porch, that the sketch that was given had a plan view looking down on it, and it showed windows in the plan view?
yeah,
But,
yeah,
okay, so
yeah,
it
septic's in
was
the
out
back.
towards the well, I think. The system was in the back and the well is in the front. Is that the one?
Yep, that's the one.
So that's what it was for the porch. So that one, he could end up with a well line that he's gonna cross. But the septic system shouldn't. And I guess if, as long as he knows that the well line could be there and he takes care of it. But it shouldn't
Can
affect the septic system.
can I add something?
Sure.
So I am fully aware with the well line is a water line, which is I would say about 20 inches from the corner of the house if you're looking at the house on the right hand side. So from that corner towards the proposed porch I'm building, it's 20 inches. So between my last post that I'm putting in the ground, proposing to put up to that water line, I get good 7 feet or so of spacing. So I'm
Horizontal spacing?
no. Yes, horizontal. Yes,
Okay, okay,
yes.
That's a problem with that.
that's good.
Lee
No.
and Bill,
No.
you okay with it?
That's fine.
Yeah, it's just sonotubes, sure.
Well, then that one's okay.
Okay.
So Colleen, do we have any others that we don't know about?
Let's see. There was the one for 11 Griswold. They're adding, well, yeah, he's been into the office a couple times and called, and I guess they're adding
wanted
a
to-
room. Yeah, they're filling in enclosing a carport, adding a room.
The case where we're adding a room could require a septic system investigation.
This is a sticky one. These are the sticky ones.
Yeah, I asked him to get a statement from an engineer or an RS, but
Tom's got a comment. Tom, go ahead.
Yes, so they came in, the two contractors, the partners, and they said it was going to be a bedroom. And this was a few weeks ago, and it has two closets. And then when I had said it needed to go through this process, it wasn't going to be. And I said, come on, you have two closets. So that's why I'm sending them your way, because originally it was going to be a bathroom, but bedroom, and the two closets, which is still what is submitted. So it is an additional bedroom.
I need to have an engine. They have an engineer certify that the system is capable. They have to determine if the system is working. And the second is the system capable for the potential new use?
Yeah, this is sticky.
yeah,
Tom,
that's what I
what's the
told him. He said
proposed
there was
value of the project in closing? What do they budget for this job?
I don't recall. I'm
Is
not
it
sure,
like-
but
Is it like under 20,000?
no.
no,
And
it says
it
like
includes redoing the whole
50,000.
house. It does include redoing the whole house, but
Oh,
it
okay.
was the fact that they came in and said they were going to possibly hold off on the bathroom, but for sure it was going to be a bedroom. And then I said, well, I told them, don't sell yourself short either. don't go changing it. You have closets, so we have to,
Yeah.
turn it over for your sign off. And
Yeah,
so they decided to go forward with the bedroom.
okay.
Doesn't matter if it can be used as a bedroom, whether they call it a bedroom, it really doesn't matter if it can be used as a bedroom. So in the code, this isn't one, when they do that, the code clearly says they have to do the septic system investigation.
Yeah.
This is-
Okay, so I guess there was a septic system put in 2024 here. He said they were only using like 2 bedrooms and now it was going to be a 3-bedroom or something. But I did tell him he needed the statement from an engineer, but he just he says, I don't have an engineer. I'm not hiring an engineer. I don't know. So
Last year they had a system put in, Colleen?
yes,
Oh,
they
you got the
did.
design
So
handy?
I don't have it with me, but I'll send it to you. But I mean,
Yeah, Dick, just look at the design. I'm sure it's designed for 440.
Bill, we can't be saying, oh, we're gonna design for you or check the design.
No.
On some we do it, some we don't. We're gonna get in the business of engineering septic systems,
Yeah.
which you can do, we can't. But
The easiest thing would just be to contact, the last
Yeah,
engineer
contact
on
the
that.
person that designed your system last year. It
Yeah.
should be
Yeah,
easy.
it
and
was
just
just
have them
done.
say, yeah, we looked at what this house is gonna
Yep.
be and here's
Yep.
what I designed it for and it's okay.
exactly.
All right,
Yeah,
Okay.
10 minutes, done.
give them the marching orders.
I got a call from a person on Bachelor Street who's gonna build a master bedroom suite. And I said, I don't know what the board's gonna say. They said, well, we got our bedroom and we're gonna turn it into an office and build a suite. And I said, I know what the board's gonna say. It's just because you call it an office, you can't be saying it's no longer a potential bedroom. I said, there are ways that people got around it. They put big openings so there aren't any doors, or we even had one person that got rid of the windows. And so it wouldn't be a bedroom. But I said, if it can be used as a bedroom, you're going to have to have it be used as a bedroom. Call it a bedroom. And I said, you're going to have to get an engineer. And they called, Colleen dug up the design and what they ended up with Neil Jackson. And Neil said, well, their infiltrator systems, I don't know whether it's even working. It's 17 years old and that's a long time for an infiltrator system. And he says, maybe the thing doesn't work at all right now.
Hmm.
And so I said, well, the logical thing is you have to find out if it's working and then decide what people want to do, and then present the case. But you have to find out if it works.
Yeah. Dick, here's a question. And Tom, question for you too. Is the building department's interpretation of the bedroom substantially the same as the Board of Health's at this point?
Every community is different. They can change it to a office, sewing room, prayer room, all the different things. But clearly I still don't think I have. So I will require, because once you alter or change a bedroom, it definitely triggers all your
Okay.
smoke CO detectors, heat detectors, all up to code. Once you trigger, and that means sign off from fire as well.
Yeah. Because
So
it used to be 80 square feet, privacy, ventilation, and a 7-foot ceiling. I think those were the 4 criteria at one time.
right, and it has to be minimum. I should
80
know this,
square
right? I
feet
think
it
9
used
by
to be.
7. There is certain things
Yeah.
to
Well,
consider
that's what Bill said.
the
It's like
bedroom.
80 square feet or something.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and it has to be, those 2 dimensions, or more.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. It can't be 40 feet long and 2 feet wide and say, okay,
That's
it's
right. Yeah, it's
80
going to be
square feet.
reasonably rectangular. Right. That's right. That's
Correct.
right.
And then there's always the issue, I'm told the realtor will sell it as a bedroom, saying you can put a locker in it. So,
That's
I
right.
don't get into any of that.
Because that's not what Bill just talked about. Doesn't say it's got to have a closet. It just
That's right.
it does
Closet
not
is
have to
not a
do that.
criterion. It is not a
No.
criterion. That's right. But privacy is a criterion.
Yes.
So people will end up saying, you know what I did? I ripped the door out and I don't have a door anymore, and it's a 4-foot opening, so it's not like I could just put a little door in here, go to
No,
Home
Tom, you
Depot
told
and
me a story about that, didn't you, a month ago or so?
Yeah,
Yeah, tell
I
Dick
ended
that
up becoming
story.
the alternate in a community years ago because the other alternate literally let the person just pull the pins and pull the door, and the Board of Health wasn't going to have that. So they ended up canning him, the poor guy. But
so okay, so they need that, and
Okay,
what was interesting is Neil Jackson is going to come back, and he said, you know, when I get into this thing where you guys have asked for another extra 110 gallons a day, and he said, I know you don't want to use it up as another bedroom, but he said, what if I came back to you and said, you know, these people, when you can end up with 110 gallons a day, that was based on the old toilets and its old washing machines. And what happens if I come in and say, you know, these guys are, that number is not a valid number. These people have switched. They've got low flow shower heads. They've got a new washing machine and a dishwasher that are 12 gallons per thing. Their toilets are 1.2 gallon flush, and they're not consuming anywhere near what has happened. They've done something to cut down use. So when you look at that number you're using, that maybe people, instead of choosing to put leaching area, maybe they choose to put their money into hardware to stop the flow.
Right.
And I said the board has to look at that kind of stuff.
That's right. Right. That's right. Again, in
So,
the old days, it was 5-gallon flush.
yeah. So anyway, so that's that.
okay.
Now we go.
The Title V.
Oh, Title V. Let me see where okay. I've got Title V are 300 Amherst Street. It looks like they're all, if you look at, they ended up with Harris Street. We've just gone over. That was a conditional pass. That was the Scott Merrill. But we've got Amherst Street, Neil Jackson Pass, 300 Amherst Street. They all had 1,500 gallon tanks, and they had say one of them though. I have a question. We'll get. I don't know which one it is now. That had, someone said it had a 4-foot water table, but when I looked at it, I think the guy was wrong. I think it was a fill system with a pump, and I think it was 4 feet below the leach field water table. But when I go through it, we've got 150 Harris Street by Bob Norman, conditional pass. That was the septic tank and the D box. 33 Green Meadow Lane, Robert Norman again passes. 156 Kendall Street, Alan Weiss passes. 559 East State Street, Greg Everson passes. 68 Harris Street, Dave Kibbe passes. 81 Morgan Street, Dave Kibbe passes. And when we look at them, are we okay? We accept all of those?
Yes. Yeah.
Phil, are you set with those?
Yeah, I'm all set, Dick.
I am too.
I'll be right back.
So discussion items, there are 2 of them. One of them, kitchen renovation for American Legion and also junior, senior high school. My feeling with those is we should get a report from Lynn first on those before we discuss it. But Lee Bill's not here right now, but what is your thought, Lee?
Well, when you say renovation, are they simply replacing components, or is this some type of a major add-on?
They're really major. They're redoing them.
So yeah, we need to get Lynn, to me, who has some hands-on, to give us the background story of what they're doing, and whether or not. So here's the other question. Does the size of the job trigger a total code upgrade? In other words, if there's something which has been there and didn't quite meet the current 2025 code, and now that they're remodeling, does everything have to be changed up?
I think what you're going to
say-
hear from that Lynn is going to tell you absolutely.
I'm thinking the same thing. If the wall isn't, easily cleanable, maybe a ceiling panel, maybe the sink's not a double bay, whatever it takes to
The fire
make the whole
suppression
thing.
system, all the ventilation, all the stuff that needs to be
Yeah.
done needs to be done. But it sure seems like
Potential,
starting with Lynn is the right way to do
Right.
it.
Yeah, because I think
Operating
these are
floor
both,
drains.
I think both of these are done.
Really?
too. But she has the right to go in there, and then if something's not right, I mean, the board has the
Yeah.
right to say, well, that's not right or whatever. But yeah, I think because they gave us these plans, I think after this stuff was done, at least I know with the American Legion, because I called and asked because I heard they were redoing it. So
I guess what
So they
happens
did the
is
work prior to a permit? Is that what took place here?
So American
They
Legion
worked
was,
first?
I don't know.
yeah. I guess I would be a little at fault that I didn't get your sign off on the American Legion. It was put in prior to me starting, but I did issue it. And
Yep.
that should have gone in the future for sure. Commercial, that's a entirely new kitchen. It is moved to a new location and all. It's under construction control. There's an engineer involved and all, but I should have not issued that till I got your sign off. So that's part myself. The other one was just an Ansel system, I believe, at the school that was redone.
Just an upgrade.
Upgrade.
Okay, I got
Yes.
you.
Yep. But no,
Yep.
clearly I should have informed them most likely before on that the Legion.
well, it's interesting. The school wasn't able to work to even cook in there because of the asbestos. And I don't know what's happening. Did they have the asbestos all stripped out? Did it get sealed? Who knows what's going on there? But
So
I
if
guess
that's the case, where's food coming from?
they were getting it cooked. Some of it was being brought in from the East Meadow School, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
So well,
Interesting.
I guess the best thing is to get Lynn in both of these. Have her go do the inspection and get back to us, Colleen.
Okay. She was also, she wanted to be here tonight just to ask, but she was sick, I guess, all week. When she went to the Dino Fest, there were some food tables or food vendors that didn't have permits. So she wanted to know from the board, what she should have done in that situation where, they had no food permits. They only pulled one, the church pulled one for their table, but batch ice cream was there and another table, I think, was there set up. So she was wondering what the board wanted her to do in that situation.
When I read that, my feeling was that it puts Lynn in a terrible spot. She shows up. It could be out at Carter Day, the same thing.
That's right.
In fact, I think she said one of these people showed up, and And
Yeah.
and the story that at least you wrote up, that the people that were at Dino Day or whatever said we don't want to pay the money for a permit, so we're going to come without it. And I think that what the board should do is tell all of these people, if you've got outside vendors, we're gonna, if you're in charge of this thing, we're gonna pull your permit. We're gonna pull your permit. That it's your responsibility to make sure this thing is done right. And if otherwise, in fact, who does Dino Days? Let's ask that one. Who is in charge? Who lets people come in there and set up? Is it the church?
Yeah, Church of Christ. Yeah,
Yeah, they own the
that's their
property.
event. Yeah.
So for us to tell them that if they allow people to come in, we can shut down the whole thing.
Politically, that's a hot potato, that's for sure.
And it happens all the time. The poor, you and the same with the fire chief with the food trucks. I
Really.
show up at events for the tents and that, and you're stuck. You know, an example in Hadley was the Asparagus Festival. 2 or 3 of the vendors didn't put their permit in, and you guys ended up, you know, the Board of Health in Hadley would end up 2-3 hours getting permits issued, and because you're only in a bad spot or the bad guy if you throw them out of there.
Right, that's right.
So what we are working on is we're going to have a meeting where going to stipulate these things need to be in it. It'd be up to the church. It'd be up to the different event holders. And you're actually going to be on the list too, as far as liquor licenses, a sign off. So somebody from your board will be signing off, the fire chief, police chief, and myself, like for a 1-day liquor license and all that. So if there's any questions you have or whatever, any input, we're working on that. And we want to put together a meeting, which if somebody or all could make would be great coming up. I'm working
Dick,
with Kathy now, even though she's not there a lot.
Okay. Dick, one thing we could do is get the names of the 2 people that were non-compliant, have them come to the board meeting, have them talk to us, pay us for the permit fee that they should have had, and just stipulate to them, never let it happen again. But we have to talk to these people. Otherwise, they'll pull the same thing next year.
You could do that. I'm thinking, if you look at the people that have these events, they're probably, how many of them? 3 of them, 4 of them? They're not many that it's going to be Charter Day that's got them, the Church of Christ, I don't think we have trouble with the wine house. I think those people all have permits.
I think they tell them to, I think he tells them to call the Board of Health, because the people, I always get calls from people for doing the events at the wine house. Yeah.
So he's not a problem, but maybe we get who else? Do you know who else has people that have food vendors? If you could, by the next meeting, if you could get a list, maybe we get the people that are having the events and say, look, we want to be talking, and we want you guys to tell us what we're supposed to do right now. We can't let it happen that they can be selling without it. You tell us how you want it to be done. Do we just show up and tell them to close? Do the real thing is to say, you're holding the event, you're responsible, and we're going to deal with you. We're not going to be chasing all these people down. It's your land. You're letting them do it, and you can't do it. And if you're going to do it, then we're not going to give you a permit.
Yeah, say they have the master.
Well, the
permit
next
for the
thing
whole
coming up
project
is
in
going to
there.
be your Christmas bazaars are going to be coming up next. That won't be too far off.
And tell these people that we really need to be talking to them, and have them each. If Colleen can find out who they are, let's get them all and say, this is the meeting we're gonna be, this is the time we're gonna do it. You guys all have to be there, and we've got to talk this through. And I'm hoping they'll say, you're right. That's part of the thing. We're not gonna let anybody be on our property that doesn't have a permit, and we're gonna tell them, you can't even plan on being on it until you send us a copy of your permit. And then they're accountable for policing their own thing. We're not the bad guy. They are. That they're just acting responsibly. But I think, Bill, it's probably worthwhile also to do what you're saying, is get these people that violate, since they're repeat offenders anyways, and say, this is what's going to happen. And maybe in their case, say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to see if we can get you in trouble with the state and get your whole license, get you blackballed.
We can't.
So you can't work it.
We can't find them, can we, Dick? That's too difficult.
I don't think so.
It's too difficult.
We might be able. Colleen can find out if we can.
Yeah, I think there's some $300 fine limit in the Commonwealth. It's some mass general law.
But it'd
Colleen,
be,
could you see if
could it be like a building permit where, I mean, you'd have to have it, double the permit if they catch it starting without a permit, and that's more, they're going to have to pay it to get the permit. It's not like a fine, which is half the time or I should say 90% of the time you don't get the money for it. But that's how, building permit has gone through the, select board, but you probably should do it as a board, double the fee or something.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Make
Right.
it not economical for them to get an after the fact permit. So if the permit's $100, we charge them $200 after the fact, and they'll get the message real quick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
problem is these guys can get, part of the reason they got a permit is so Lynn can look at it and they don't get people sick.
Well, of
So
course.
if people say, oh, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give you raw meat or something, and someone gets sick and say, oh, well, we'll charge you twice and you got someone in a hospital.
Right.
That's,
But the intent is to encourage them to get the permit prior to the event.
yeah.
And I'm just trying to come
So
up with a game plan to do that.
I think Tom is right now, is that you do exactly what Bill said, is to say, look at, this is what the Board of Health is going to say. For right now, we're going to, as the thing, we're going to deal, each time you get caught, you're going to have to pay double right now. We're going to throw you out. We're going to deal with this, and beforehand, we're going to make sure it doesn't happen. But right now, to say, we're going to make this kind of painful for you, you guys have to pay this double right now, or you're never going to work in this town.
That's right.
And so you just tell them that's what's going to happen. That's what we're doing today. And after you do that, I'll bet once you do it to those first two people, that's it. It's not going to be a problem anymore.
Yeah, word's going to get around. Oh, yes.
So, Colleen, you find out who it is. Find out who violated. We do that.
Yeah, I don't know if she knows, other than Batch, who the other, but I'll ask her. I'll ask Lynn.
Now,
I'll bet the Church
a
of
local
Christ
ice
knows
cream
who it
place,
is.
Colleen?
Oh, yeah, you're right, Dick. They must have a vendor list because they know who's coming for those spots for
Right.
Dog
Of
Fest.
course.
So they would know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But definitely we deal, once we know who the people are that have these kind of events that have vendors, we definitely get them in and say, how are we going to do this?
mhm.
And maybe we make them give us a list of who's coming
Mhm.
and say, okay, we want this list. You give us what the permit numbers are, the people that are coming, the permit, and say, we're not going to sign off on your event until you give us this information.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's a good idea because they'll have a list of vendors. And I mean, I know Charter Days is good because I work with them. We go back and forth on who I tell them who has come in, they ask me, do you have, you know, this one or that one? So, they've got it down, but, this, and there's not that many, so it's probably Dino Fest, and then there might be a Christmas bazaar, but, yeah.
This may not be a big problem, so we
Yeah.
can, but
Well,
I'm
that-
definitely finding out, and I think take what Tom is saying and what Bill is saying, so we make them, they get some punishment for this. And then we do something to stop it in the future. 'Cause we definitely could end up with people getting sick.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
this actually isn't a money-making thing. It's really the kind of a wash for the town, but
Mhm.
it's something to try not to get people sick.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I bet one of the next items that I asked Colleen to put in is, do we have a way on building permit approvals? Is there a way that instead of making people wait 2 weeks, or in this last one, 4 weeks, to go through this, at least the approval process, or what we think is going to be the approval process? Is there something that Lee or Bill or me could look at beforehand, like I do with the septic systems? Is it doesn't have to be the whole board to do this. We know what we're looking for. Is there some thing that we could give the authority to one of us to look at these building permits as they come through, and have Colleen just sign off on them for Tom, or something, that rather than occupy all of our time for something to say, gee, the swimming pool is in the right place, so that there's a porch that is fine. It's a no-brainer, and that, which is very different than looking at Red Fire Farm. That's a big deal that does need a bunch of people talking about it. But some of this little stuff, is there a way that for instance, that we just said Bill is going to handle these things, and he just goes through them and say, yeah, that's an easy one. That it's fine. And we sign off on that and let it go. The board says we live by what Bill says. Kind of like what Lee does with basically the septic system inspections, but the board okays it. But those are all done and buried instead of making people wait to get those, new tank or a new D box.
And we do the same thing, Dick, on conservation. Dave Desolé does the same thing for us as the agent on conservation. There's a lot of no-brainers, but he'll run the no-brainers by me, but for the most part, he acts autonomously on those.
So we don't have that person,
I know.
that agent, but we certainly could, I would feel very comfortable letting, supporting you or Lee, just saying, yeah, I looked at that. It's fine. Even to the point of, if you add some protection in there, that let's say you did it, Bill, and you told Colleen, you and Colleen talked, and then Colleen just sent things out saying, yeah, this was approved, this was approved. So it's not like the board doesn't know, but she just sent them out and say that was approved. And if it were you and Lee and I said, holy mackerel, Bill really missed this thing, and you could do, I doubt that that's ever going to happen, but that whoever would be doing that would be saying, yeah, let's not bother everybody with these little bitty things that.
And I think the way to do it, Tom, is I'd have to have access to the portal, right? The town portal.
Yes, which Colleen has access.
Yeah, so what I
She
could do,
could-
Dick, is just I could look at the portal, which would have all the submitted information, so I would not have to fiddle through any paperwork. You do it online and you can do it very efficiently.
Lee, are you thinking that that's a good way to do this?
Absolutely. Otherwise, you're going to be back and forth in the office, checking out septic prints, where the well's located, if there is prints or not, if it's too old, etc. But anything online, as Bill pointed out correctly with Tom's assistance on this thing, it could be 5-minute check over to the homeowner and done in moments, rather than in, as you pointed out, weeks.
We've had tonight, we spent a whole bunch of time on these with the three of us, looking, each one is duplicating the effort, spending time, and Bill could make it that Tom is like on a Board of Health question, Bill doesn't have to be the guy that says, get me this information to the homeowner. Bill could just be going back to Tom saying, hey, Tom, we need this septic system information. And Tom says, okay, I'm handling the permit part of this, and I'll make those people get it as part of it. And so it doesn't end up with a lot of extra work for Bill, but I'll bet 3/4 of this stuff just goes zinging right through.
Yeah.
Without a big problem.
So Tom, would you be in charge of uploading all the information on the portal?
I try to get it all to begin with, and Colleen, I think you've actually commented to people, right? Or was it just conservation that Dave has?
I sent some emails to people.
Yeah,
we needed something. Drawing.
So she's actually commented.
Yeah, Dave's got our account. If you could get me an account and a password, that would be fine. Then I can do it too. That would be fine.
Yeah, and like I said, Dave and Colleen both have been. It's been great for us, for a smaller town, to not have somebody,
right,
the board always there and things, asking questions or requiring things as well. And if not, I can do it. Just shoot me a text or call and say, hey, we need this.
You're right, Dick, because that if someone happens to come in tomorrow and they've got to wait 2 weeks to get a permit, or heaven forbid 29 days for a conservation meeting, that's absurd. So we can expedite our permitting this way, and it's a fine way to do it.
Okay.
And we'll take advantage.
Lee, are you willing to let Bill be the guy that does this, or if you'd like to do it? I'm not anxious to do it.
You're doing enough, Dick. You got enough to do.
It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, you got enough to do.
Oh, it's more than fine. I think Bill is very skilled with the computer, and at some point in time, if it becomes overwhelming, then I can get a quick tutorial about how to access that information and share the load if it comes to that point, which I don't think it will. But yeah, I think we at least owe it to ourselves and the constituents giving this thing a shot.
Martha, as you're talking through this, I'm thinking as long as we're doing this kind of stuff, that we call these things inspections, that maybe as long as Bill's going to do this, we're throwing something on Bill, and I'm looking at something that I think is unreasonable for the town to be getting from me free. That these septic system reviews, but now Bill, we're going to throw on Bill, and he's going to do.
You should be paid for those, Dick. You should be paid for those reviews. You know that.
And I think what we do is, if Bill, just as much as Lee goes and looks up at a D box, that Bill, if Bill is doing a review of a building permit, that we say, okay, each one of those building permits, even if he has to do more work on some than others, but each one of those permits that he works on is an inspection. And then that we just say for mine too, that each one of these septic system design reviews is an inspection. And it's probably, none of them you're not gonna make any money on any of them, but at least you're, this weekend, I'll bet that I've spent 20 hours on this
Wow.
weekend on septic system stuff.
Wow.
Well, and my concern is that the inspection process somehow has to click out at an hour per. You know what I mean?
And you're not going to make any
I mean,
money.
I know.
on this.
No one's making money. Even at the rate per hour, no one's making any money, because once you throw in some travel time and research and all the data and all the checking and rechecking, it's still such an inexpensive, undervalued service.
Right.
And I think it's absurd that and the majority of people, and I mean like 99% of the people, have no clue how much effort you put into these septic reviews and preparing for these meetings. And if you're charging the town $35 to review a tough site that Neil designed on Cold Hill, and you're on this thing for 5 or 6 hours, I would hope that the rate would be, 5 or 6 hours at least times 35.
Yeah, but at this
It
point,
probably should be a whole lot more. It should be a whole lot more than that.
yeah. Well, you can see what Lynn is doing now is saying for each one of her visits is $100. There's some fast ones and slow ones, but it's $100.
Right, but and I get it, but that, and it's not an insult to you or me or Bill, but it doesn't make any sense either on the same topic.
Yeah.
I mean, Lynn's a professional. The three of us are in that same category. And I'm not doing this any more than you guys are for income, for sure. Never been the case. But the next generation is going to be different, for sure. And
Right. Remember, Lee, we took on the assignment of seeing what the future Board of Health is going to be looking like, and it's not going to be this.
No.
You're not going to have 3 skilled people giving free service. It's just not going to happen. So,
With 120 years combined experience.
So my suggestion is, at least for right now, why don't we call, since we're now going to throw this thing onto Bill, is to say for each one of those, you're going to call this an inspection. I'll call these reviews an inspection. So we do that, and we ought to look at what we should be charging for these things, what we should be putting on as our fees, but at least for right now, we'll just do that, because we're asking Bill to do something else that helps us out, the two of us. It helps Bill for sure, because it means we're not having big long meetings for things that he can kind of do.
Well, that's a good point. That will cut our meetings down by probably 45 minutes per meeting.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right. And the other thing is that in again, just for the sake of argument, occasionally when I'm on site with contractors from different areas of Western Mass. Rarely, but once in a while, the conversation will come up about permits and fees and so forth. And from what they're telling me, unless they're stretching the basic data, the town of Granby is in the dark ages as far as permitting goes from a fee structure.
Of course, the tongue-in-cheek comment
know.
is, I wish our real estate taxes were in the dark ages.
Amen to that.
Yeah. You set me up on that one, Lee.
Very good.
So
Very
anyway, okay, so that's what we'll do. And so we'll see if that can clean it up.
Very good. Thank
Yep.
you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
we're headed
Thank
towards
you.
9:30. So Tom, thank you for spending your evening with us.
Sure, I did have one more
Yeah.
question if you could quick. Or I just
Okay.
want to make
Yeah.
sure that for Red Fire Farm, that the kitchen, because there is going to be, the way it's looking, a kitchen in there. I don't have a full set of plans. It's only permitted as a shell. But there's going to be kitchen, cleaning area in that. So I don't know if they've come to you yet with anything to look over, but I would really like your blessing with that before I give the use and the whole, finished permit going to be submitted here soon.
We have not seen that. Lynn has not reviewed that yet, so we definitely should be reviewing it. They've given an engineering layout, for saying, okay, you figure out what the sewage is based on this, but we definitely have not seen materials of construction. What are the devices that they're installing? What's the ventilation? We haven't seen any of that. So that needs to be done.
Okay, I'll make sure. I know Fred, Mr. Marion actually, I believe, issued the permit. He's actually got a plumbing plan and reviewed it. So they know what's going in the ground and whatever before they pour a floor, separators or whatever is needed. So I will push them and make sure you get that sooner than later.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you
Bill,
all.
it's good to have you. It's good to have you back whole.
Thanks, Dick.
And-
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. Incrementally, every day it's been incrementally better, which is great. I thought there'd be some ups and downs, but realistically, every day has been a little bit better.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good. When do you think you'll be golfing?
Oh, I'm guessing another 2 weeks, but I'm gonna probably
Oh,
go
pretty
out with
soon.
the group tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and walk around with them for a little while anyway. Probably
Okay,
another
so pretty
couple
soon.
weeks.
Yeah.
That's good.
Get some exercise in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and just a backwards comment here, Dick. Hats off to you with Red Fire Farm as far as them getting on board with the future generation system on everyone's terms without having a knockdown drag. I would still be fighting about it
that worked out very well. Very well done.
If you went the other way with that. Very good.
Well, that's the benefit of all of our working together to try to get things accomplished and try to stay away from win-lose. That our board doesn't do well. We're a win-win board, and that's why. Hopefully, that's what, Bill, as you put all those years of service in and experience in, that it works, and it's each one of us takes our turn at coming up with something that said, hey, let's think about this, get out of that box we're stuck in. So we each have our turns.
Yeah.
So
very good. Very good.
Okay. Good night. And Tom,
Okay.
it's great for you to be with us. It really is. It's different. We don't usually have the benefits of this, and it really is a pain in the neck for you to. I recognize for you.
Thank you. I appreciate
to
that.
give your time for this. That you've got a lot better things than spending 2.5 hours on a Tuesday night doing this. And,
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
but
Yeah.
we're
Well done,
aware
Tom.
of,
Thank you.
we're aware of what it takes to do that. And, I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very important to have your expertise and your angle of approach with problems that we hear about but don't know the inside workings like you do. So it really helps the board accomplish a lot more in a better time frame. It's real good. Yeah, thank you.
So good night, everybody.
Okay, thank you all.
Good night.
Oh, Colleen was supposed to put something on before we shut down. It's time that we be talking about what's going to happen to Colleen and her hours.
Oh,
This is coming, that is, right now, we can wait till next meeting to talk about it. But Colleen definitely has needs that are changing. Colleen, unlike us, keeps getting older. And
it's all in one's mind.
yeah,
That's right.
and so Colleen really does have to change her life. And we've talked about how important it is to try to preserve the service that Colleen is giving us in the town. And so what I've asked Colleen to do, that her general thoughts are they're kind of a funny way that she'd like to work, and it's kind of like a heavy week and a light week, a heavy week and a light week, because at least at this point in her life, being with her grandchildren is for a period of time on a weekend is important. So what I've asked Colleen is to actually come up with something that fits what she's looking to do in her personal life, and to see if there's a way that she can provide what she's been providing, that she's actually the best, she's got the best view of what she does. And if she can look at, and Colleen and I haven't talked very much about it, just a tiny little bit. And to be looking at the impact of hooking up with Northampton and some of the load that's shifted there, of how we have the potential of letting Colleen flex and not have the town be hurt.
Right.
But it's something that I had asked her to think about tonight. But obviously, this of all the nights, this is the worst night to be
Not
even
tonight.
talking about this. But
But just one
came off
specific
a,
question, Colleen,
vacation.
could you do some of your work from home remotely? Would that work or not work?
I guess if I had access to,
You'd have to have a computer access to the
yeah,
computer system.
right. But,
problem is, Colleen, when you talk to me, at least at this point of your life,
yeah,
it isn't that you're just trying to work fewer hours. You really are
right.
saying, gee, there's this thing that I want to have as empty time for me to do with your grandchild.
Exactly. So
And so it's
yeah,
not a
exactly.
thing that's saying, could you be with your grandchild and work on the computer at the same time? At this point, that doesn't work for you.
No, it doesn't. I'd really have to cut my hours a little, but I know what I do, to get ready for the meetings and when I do it, and also the fact that my children, my grandson lives out of the area, so I'm looking to get 2 days that I can just not be working and go there to take care of them, and then come back and then work. So like a full week plus a meeting, and then maybe a short week is what I'm thinking of, just because that would work because they don't live here around town. So,
Yeah, I'm sure
Right.
we can work something out. I'm
What
sure.
I suggested
and-
to Colleen is to come up with a proposal that she knows would work to support her current job.
Mhm.
mhm,
And that the three of us can't do that because we don't know what you
Mhm.
give up and what coverage there we would get. And so just to see, but it's coming. Colleen is really saying, this is something that has to happen in her life. And she would like not to say, well, if you force me into saying it's time to retire so I can do this,
Yeah.
that I'd like to not be forced that be the decision. Either take what I have now or quit and take nothing, make it binary, that you take
Mhm.
all or nothing. And that if you could do that, but let's say next week, because if this is going to happen in a couple months, we ought to
Mhm.
prepare for it. And if
Mhm.
you said, gee, we can't come to some conclusion that we both agree with,
Mhm.
then you say, you know what, you guys are going to force me to leave, and we should be managing that. I don't believe that's the case. I think this is one of the things that where Bill was talking about, all this experience that's floating around in this office, that it also makes us that we can do our work kind of smarter, that you're paying Bill some money on the side to do what we said we're doing with these reviews, ends up taking his singular time that is way less total time than having us, the three of us or the four of us, doing some of it all the same time, doing the same thing. And then when you eat just
Mhm.
the background that we waste, then you talk about it some more when you say, you know what, you didn't even have to talk about that stupid. Not only did we each look at the swimming pool, we wasted that time, and then we talked about it some more when Bill would have just said, that's fine. Let's watch out. He can watch out for the ledge. Bill knows all about. He knows about what to worry about with the conservation part of it. It's an easy step thing for him to do. So by being smart, we can do things faster.
Yeah, Dick, having you do the reviews outside a meeting is great too. Remember years ago, back in the 90s, Bob Sheehan Sr. would come in and we'd see the plan for the first time at the meeting. We review the plan in real time. That was
Right.
That's how it
so
was.
inefficient. It was great, but it was so inefficient.
It was terrible, and you wouldn't catch all of it anyways. And then we'd each talk about all the things and say, "Why on so many of the things? It doesn't matter. It says you're supposed to have 5 foot separation. Someone look and check it. Three people don't have to look and talk about it. It's just it is or isn't. And so
Yeah, that would be 11 o'clock at night.
I remember those
that's
people.
right. Every night
Yeah.
it would be.
And
Yeah.
and they're in the circular room at Kellogg Hall.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. And
Yeah.
having Colleen with a written agenda that we just go bing, bing, bing
Yeah,
through and stuff that's all copied and ready to go
Mhm.
and try to cut off discussions that don't need to be had. And that discipline makes it so you can do this. And fortunately, I guess is knowing how we think, how the three of us, the four of us think, makes it so that the other person can really say, I know how that person feels about that. And I'm going to be careful in that spot because it's a strong feeling. So you already cut through a bunch of stuff that what's going to happen. So, and having Bill being involved with the Conservation Commission is a thing that you say, it affects us all the time, but it's something that just gets handled easy. So, but anyway, so we have to, if you can make sure we have that in the next meeting, Colleen, so we can at least start moving. We've only
Okay.
got a few months and I'll be gone to St. Martin from from the 17th of November to the 2nd of December.
Okay,
So there's, 2.5 weeks that I'm gone.
okay.
So Colleen, is it possible, without putting more on your plate, is it possible to do a really light analysis of perhaps Friday's activities? In other words, do you see 12 people, one person, no people, average? Just as a future talking point.
For what did you say?
As
For
I-
Fridays?
Yeah, I don't know how much
Okay.
Customer or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
constituent
Mhm.
hands-on activity really takes place, and maybe that's a possible optional day.
Yeah,
a
one
lot
of
of
the
town
things that-
halls aren't open on Fridays.
Yeah, but that won't work for Colleen. We have to, when we talk this through with Colleen, unlike a lot of businesses that said, you know what, let's work a 4-day week.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
maybe if you look through what Lee just said, maybe is exactly, if you look at it, Colleen, you'll be open and say, what if they said that I'd go to a 4-day week? What would that do? What would,
Mm-hmm.
so you should really look and say that maybe that's an easier way for the board to run, but if you look and say that won't work at all for me, it just won't work.
Yeah.
But for
Yeah.
you to at least look and say, because that is an easy, from the town standpoint, that's certainly the easiest thing to just absorb. But
Mhm.
when you and I talked, you said, "Gee, that's
Yeah,
no good."
only because of the travel.
Yeah.
I'm traveling to the eastern part, and Fridays just aren't a good travel day down on the
Right, that's
on
right.
the
You're
pike.
right there.
I get you.
You're right there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so well, I will put down what I'm thinking of. I'll send it to
Yeah.
you, and my reasoning, and then, yeah, we can kind of go from there. And
You might find that what you should keep in your thinking is that the board in general doesn't have a uniform load. That it's not a uniform time load. So if you said,
Hmm.
gee, I am really swamped on the Thursday, Friday before your Tuesday meeting,
Mhm.
it's Thursday, Friday, Monday's not so terrible because stuff is locked in for the Tuesday meeting, but
Mhm.
that's the bad time. And then the Wednesday or the Thursday and Friday after that, I don't have anything to do. That's really light time for
Mhm.
me. So I've got this build up time and then there's low time. So
Yeah.
if you look and see, that's the way the board flows because of the Tuesday meetings.
Yeah.
And then to look and say, well, how could we make
Mhm.
something, especially when you say, gee, my my needs aren't uniform either.
Mhm.
So if it turns out that you can put your low spot at the natural low spot
Mhm.
in the board work, then think about that, because for sure, all this baloney, I know from me, I have a lot of work. The starting the Thursday before our meetings.
Yeah.
I don't like the weekends before the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Sure.
really
with all-
don't like those weekends.
Yeah. 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 No, I have. I've thought of of that, and when I do the bulk of getting ready for the meeting and all that. So yeah.
And you may find that that's when you do the financial stuff. I don't know where any of that stuff fits.
Yeah.
But you may look and say, there's some natural spot in this
Yeah.
Board of Health cycle that if you were trying to take some time out of it,
yeah,
it would be a chunk that sat right here.
yeah,
And you may find out that you say, you know what, it really isn't a Thursday and Friday that I should be out of here. Maybe it's a Monday and Tuesday
yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's something that says that, but at least see how the whole thing goes together.
Yeah.
And then talk. But you're definitely, as Lee is just pointing out, you're the person that can say, I'm the one living this job.
Yeah.
And I know what the part that you say, this is really simple to
Yeah.
do it this way. And
Yeah.
it's really terrible to
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
this other way. And
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
which, if that's true, if those are true statements at all.
Yeah. No, no,
Like-
it's true. There's definitely, because of the meetings, especially, there are definitely days that I wouldn't take off because I'm getting that stuff ready and getting the meeting stuff to everyone and all that. And then there are other days that are, I've done the minutes, I've done everything from the meeting, and then it's kind of a low spot. So yeah, I'm taking all that into consideration with this too, because I don't want to be in a spot where when I am working, I'm like crazy, it's crazy. Like, oh, why did I take that day off? Because I had, and I'll have, I could have flexibility too. So, but
The other thing that we could talk about is that you could, if we got our act together soon enough, we could say, instead of just pulling the trigger here, let's
mhm,
go a month at whatever we decide we think might work
mhm,
and try it and say, this is where it's screwed up or it didn't get screwed up, but it needs to be adjusted.
yeah, well, that's
try
true. That's true too. Till
Fair enough.
I actually do that and see what,
and see what happens.
see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's a good idea. Just, try it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah,
we can
try
all
it,
see it.
modify it.
Right.
Yeah.
And get to where you like what we can get through trial and error, and everybody gets happy at the end. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good suggestion, Dick.
Yep. Yep.
Stay
Yeah.
flexible.
And we have to be honest about it. Our responsibility is to the town. As much as we like each other and we try to accommodate each other, we don't want to do something that says, you know what, this really affected the service we provide the town. And you can say, you know what, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. That
Yeah.
we're all gonna move on.
Mm-hmm.
And but my gut feeling is we're not at that time.
Yeah.
That's my gut feeling.
Yeah.
So-
I think it can be worked out. I do. There's flexibility with those hours and the workload. I really feel that.
But
Okay, are we ready to leave?
We're ready.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you, everybody.
everybody.
All right.
It's
Good
been
night.
a tough one tonight.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye now.
Yeah,
Yep,
bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 good night, folks.
Bye.
Thank you.